Scorpio, what if I told you that a sacred property, a space infused with divine protection and spiritual inheritance, has already been written into your destiny? Not metaphorically. Literally. A place exists that was never meant for anyone but you, and now it's time to claim it. This video was created for one reason: to reveal the deeper truth behind the unexpected territory that is already yours. And the moment you feel drawn to it, not just by curiosity but by resonance, that's when you know this is more than a message. It's a personal confirmation. If you've ever felt like you've been wandering, building without rooting, loving without grounding, this may be why. You've been in motion, Scorpio, not because you're lost, but because your soul has been circling something sacred. And now that space, your spiritual refugee, is ready to reveal itself. And yes, its location will surprise you. Welcome to Miracle of the Sign, where every word spoken is seeded with divine purpose and anchored in spiritual truth. You didn't find this video by chance. You were guided here by the quiet pull of a alignmental whisper from the divine, a ripple in your intuitive waters that said, "Listen. This is for you. I know the pace of this world can numb the soul. That life has demanded so much of you while offering so little certainty. And yet, here you are. Listening. Pausing. Ready to hear something real. And I honor that. Truly. Because it tells me that your soul has reached a point of readiness, no longer searching blindly, but finally sensing that something deeply significant is approaching. This sacred property isn't just a home. It is a cosmic appointment. A spiritual threshold. A haven designed to hold you in your rawest moments and raise you into your most radiant form. It is encoded with the answers to questions your heart has been asking in silence. It is guarded by the energy of ancestors who prayed for your rest. And most importantly, it is already yours. So I invite you to stay until the very end of this message. Because what's being revealed in the next chapters is more than insight, it's an awakening. A roadmap to the exact place that will feel like your soul finally arriving home. Before we continue, allow me to say this: thank you. Thank you for being here. For choosing this moment. For listening, for opening, for allowing your energy to connect with mine through this space. Every comment you leave, every like you share, every time you subscribe, you're not just supporting a channel, you're becoming part of a spiritual movement that reminds people that miracles are still unfolding, especially when we slow down enough to see them. And Scorpio, I need you to know this isn't just about a physical space. This is about you reclaiming spiritual territory. Ground that was always meant to restore you. And if your spirit has been aching for somewhere to belong, this message is the answer. Tell me, have you been feeling lately that something is shifting beneath the surface? That something sacred is calling you without words? If so, leave a comment below to confirm what your intuition already knows. Write, "I'm ready to step into the space meant for me," to declare your alignment. Or simply type 777 to anchor the energy. Now take a breath. And stay with me. Because what comes next may just be the confirmation your soul has been praying for. Scorpio, if you've ever carried the quiet ache of not knowing where you truly belong, you're not alone. This moment in your astrological cycle is not only about physical belonging, it's about energetic belonging. As we continue this journey, I want you to lean into what's rising within you, because this isn't just a message, it's a mirror. A mirror reflecting back to you the long-awaited truth. You were never lost, only waiting for alignment. Right now, Pluto, the planet of transformation, depth, and soul inheritance, is in a powerful trine with Saturn, the master of structure, karma, and sacred contracts. This alignment doesn't just appear randomly. It only activates when your soul is ready to receive what's been spiritually reserved for you. The energy of this trine is unlocking what I call the secret coordinates, not on a map, but in your inner resonance. You're not looking for a place to live. You're tuning into a frequency that feels like home. A space that recognizes you before you even arrive. That's the difference. You're not searching, you're remembering. And what you're remembering is holy. Think of this sacred place not as a location with four walls, but as a spiritual ecosystem. It's a living, breathing environment that was designed with your pain, your strength, and your healing in mind. In astrology, Pluto trines Saturn signals an unshakable structure being gifted to you, one that isn't built with concrete and timber, but with memory, resilience, and divine timing. You don't stumble into this. You are summoned. There's a reason why so many Scorpios feel emotionally orphaned, at times deeply loyal to everyone, but often feeling misplaced in the world. That is not by mistake. Scorpios are soul shapers. You endure the emotional weather of others, often long before your own heart gets shelter. But what if that shelter is now being built not for the version of you that's wounded, but the version of you that's ready to rest? What if all the running, all the survival, all the longing ends here? Psychologically, when we experience prolonged disconnection or rootlessness, the nervous system adapts by becoming hypervigilant. We stop resting. We sleep, but don't recharge. We move, but never arrive. Over time, this can evolve into deep energetic fatigue, often misdiagnosed as anxiety or depression, but in truth, it's the soul saying, I need somewhere to land. This sacred property, this destined place, is not a luxury. It's spiritual medicine. A reset point. A holy pause where your trauma doesn't need to be explained, only exhaled. Even in scripture, we're reminded of this spiritual architecture. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11 verse 28. This doesn't just speak to exhaustion. It speaks to belonging. A divine refuge not built by hands but by purpose. You, dear Scorpio, are being led to such a place now, not to hide, but to heal. Not to escape, but to expand. You've been faithful through fires. Loyal through loss. Steady even when unacknowledged. That energy doesn't vanish, it returns. And this time, it returns as land. As protection. As a place where you're not performing, proving, or preserving others. You're simply present. So if your heart has been quietly whispering, I just want to stop running, this message is your confirmation. You can. The running ends here. The roof your soul has prayed for is no longer a metaphor. It's arriving physically, energetically, and undeniably. Let this be the moment you say yes to what's already yours. And if any part of this is speaking to you, take a deep breath and comment below. Say, I'm ready to return home to myself, or simply type 777 to affirm this frequency is opening for you. Your future doesn't begin somewhere far away, it begins right here, with your decision to receive what's always been waiting. Scorpio, When you've been carrying emotional weight for so long that even rest feels like work, it's easy to forget what peace feels like. But what if the very ground you're being led to is not just a place to live but a place to breathe again? The kind of breath that isn't shallow or stolen in between chaos, but full, grounding, and restorative. The energy of this sacred property, the one destined for you, holds more than bricks or boundaries. It holds the quiet reassurance you've been craving. Not because you're weak, but because you've been strong for far too long. As we move from the astrological framework of Pluto trine Saturn into the lived emotional landscape of your journey, we begin to uncover something deeply human, the ache of loneliness hidden beneath resilience. This sacred space represents more than stability. It symbolizes relief from the heaviness you've carried in silence. It represents the invisible prayers so many of us whisper when we think no one is listening. Please, just give me somewhere to be held. Your story, Scorpio, hasn't been one of ease. It has been a story of depth, devotion, sacrifice, and strength that others often don't see. There are moments you've given so much to others that you forgot you were allowed to receive. Moments when your love wasn't returned, your loyalty wasn't honored, your boundaries weren't respected. And in those moments, a subtle loneliness sets in, not just the kind that comes from being alone, but the deeper kind that comes from feeling unseen. This is where the power of your spiritual property becomes transformational. It's not just shelter, it's sanctuary. The emotional equivalent of a warm blanket on a cold night. A space where you don't have to prove anything to be loved. Where your pain is not dismissed, but welcomed as something real. Where your stillness is not laziness, but recovery. It is your divine exhale. In the symbolism of the tarot, this is embodied in the Four of Wands. A card that speaks not only of home, but of true belonging. A sacred threshold where you can rest, reconnect, and rediscover the safety of being exactly who you are without the need to shrink or explain. The Four of Wands isn't a mansion, it's the alignment of inner and outer safety. And that's what this property offers you. Alignment. From the lens of self-help and emotional healing, what you're stepping into is known as a safe container. In trauma therapy, we understand that healing cannot occur in chaos. It requires a container physically, emotionally, energetically that affirms, protects, and invites. This sacred place is that container. It's the kind of environment where cortisol levels drop, where your nervous system no longer braces for the next emotional hit, where your body can begin to trust the ground it stands on. When you think of home, I want you to go beyond the material. I want you to think of how you want to feel when you wake up. Not just safe, but held. Not just alive, but free. This is what's being offered to you now. And it's no accident that it's happening during a time when so many people feel displaced emotionally, spiritually, physically. For you, Scorpio, this is a homecoming not just to a space, but to yourself. And if this resonates with you, take a moment to acknowledge it in the comments. Say it out loud, or write, "I'm ready to come home to myself." You are not alone. You never were. But now, you're being shown exactly where to return and, more importantly, who you were always meant to be when you got there. Sometimes, Scorpio, the most life-altering revelations arrive not through thunderous signs or dramatic events, but through soft, recurring patterns that whisper to your soul. As we move deeper into this journey, what's being shown to you is not just a spiritual idea, it's a physical location already vibrating on your frequency. What makes this sacred property even more extraordinary is that its placement in the physical world carries an energy so precise, so aligned with you, that its very geography becomes part of your healing. What if the place you've overlooked, or even consciously walked away from, is exactly the one calling you home now? It could be a house you once considered but didn't choose. It could be land that was passed down through family lines, rich with ancestral echoes and unresolved intentions. It might even arrive as a spontaneous offer from someone who, up until now, played only a background role in your life. These are not coincidences. In energy work, we understand that physical matter follows energetic readiness. When you begin to shift internally, when the healing you've long resisted is finally complete or near completion, the external world responds. And often, it does so through location. There's something deeply symbolic about place, about being rooted somewhere that feels like it was made with you in mind. In the framework of astrology, Scorpio governs the mysteries beneath the surface, the unspoken contracts, the karmic inheritances. That means the land itself may carry hidden blessings meant for your activation. Think about it like a resonance field. Some environments drain you. Others charge you. This place, the one revealing itself now, will feel like a battery for your soul. Not because it's luxurious or ideal on paper, but because your nervous system will recognize it before your mind even does. Numerology offers us further insight. The numbers 4, 7, and 9 aren't random, they are energetic archetypes. 4 is foundation. It grounds the abstract. It asks, where do I feel safe enough to grow? 7 is sacred mystery, intuition, and divine timing. It's the symbol of the unseen helping hand. And 9? 9 is the number of endings and rebirth, of letting go of old cycles so something far greater can begin. When these 3 numbers start showing up in your dreams, addresses, timestamps, or even the pages of books you randomly open, that's not accident. That's alignment. And if these numbers have been appearing to you, this message may be your confirmation. Colors, too, carry frequency. If you've been seeing white silver, soft lavender, or olive green more than usual, understand that your environment is already communicating with you. White silver speaks to inner cleansing, a fresh beginning without baggage. Lavender helps clear fog from your intuition so you can finally trust what you feel. Olive green, though often overlooked, is one of the most stabilizing energies. It offers protection, neutrality, and gentle strength, especially when you've been energetically open and vulnerable for too long. If you're wondering what to do with all of this, here's something simple yet powerful. Write down your most recent dreams. Even fragments. Look for themes: unfamiliar rooms, staircases, wide open land, keys, doors. Have numbers appeared? Were you moving, returning, or discovering? Dreams are messages not just from your subconscious, but from the parts of you that already know the truth before logic catches up. And now I want to ask you, have you ever dreamed of a place you've never visited, but somehow it felt like home? Share it below. Your story might be more significant than you realize. And think for a moment, has a specific color been showing up again and again in your world lately? A scarf, a sky, a wall, even someone's clothing? Leave a comment and tell me. These details, these symbols, they're not small. They're your map. And your map is starting to unfold. Scorpio, so much of what you've carried has never been about a lack of effort, it's been about energetic congestion. When money didn't flow, when abundance felt distant, when opportunities seemed to dissolve just as they were within reach, it wasn't because you lacked value. It was because the energetic environment around you wasn't yet in alignment with what you were ready to receive. But now, something is shifting. Not because you've done more, but because you've finally allowed the space for what's already yours to come home to you. In the language of energy, everything is frequency. Money is not just numbers on a screen, it's a vibration. And your relationship with that vibration is deeply tied to your sense of safety, self-worth, and spiritual readiness. For Scorpio, who often operates through deep emotional undercurrents and silent resilience, financial flow can become entangled with unhealed karmic stories or ancestral scarcity patterns. When that happens, it can feel like no matter how hard you try, something unseen is quietly blocking the flow. But the sacred property coming into your life now isn't just a shelter, it's a financial turning point. It's a reset button. A portal. This space is uniquely encoded with your frequency because it holds the kind of grounding that your money energy has always needed. When you step into an environment that is energetically safe, vibrationally matched to your healed self, the blocks begin to dissolve. Law of attraction doesn't just respond to what you say, it responds to what your field is transmitting. And when you live in a space where your nervous system can relax, where your spirit can expand, where your energy no longer leaks into survival patterns, abundance can finally return. But it may not come back the same way it left. It often returns multiplied, transformed, or disguised as something even better. That's why I often suggest a simple self-healing practice for Scorpio at this stage. Write a letter to the home that hasn't arrived yet. Thank it. Not because it's here, but because you are already in relationship with it energetically. Gratitude moves energy. It completes the cycle. It tells the universe you are no longer stuck in lack, you are available for grace. This letter isn't for anyone to read but you. And in writing it, you shift from longing to readiness, from waiting to welcoming. Another powerful practice is forgiveness, not for others, but for your own peace. Scorpio energy tends to hold on, not out of bitterness, but out of deep emotional loyalty. But those who couldn't see your value, those who closed doors, delayed payments, took more than they gave, those stories don't define your worth. When you forgive, you free yourself from the grip of their energy in your field. You reclaim your power, your time, your money, your future. If you've been considering investments, whether in physical property, spiritual tools, or aligned mentorship, now is the time to ask, does this choice support the version of me I'm becoming? If the answer is yes, trust it. Abundance doesn't only flow through hard work. It flows through clarity, alignment, and sacred decisions. Even small shifts like listening to 432 Hz music while journaling or moving your body with intention can recalibrate your energetic field and help you receive more with ease. So I invite you to reflect. Have you ever lost money in a way that felt energetically off? Has an opportunity slipped away and left you questioning your own worth? Write it down. Release it. You don't need to carry that story anymore. And if this part of the message resonates, leave a comment below. Share your experience or simply type 888 as your declaration that your financial flow is returning not randomly, but because you are finally stepping into the energy that allows it to. This sacred space is not only a home, it is a vessel of restoration. And your abundance is coming home to meet you there. There's a sacred moment that arrives in every seeker's journey when you realize this path was never just about you. The healing you're doing, the shifts you're making, the forgiveness you've been willing to extend, all of it echoes far beyond the boundaries of your own life. For Scorpio, a sign deeply tied to lineage, depth, and the mysteries we carry in our blood, this truth rings even louder. What you've endured isn't isolated, it's connected. And this sacred space you're stepping into is more than a personal sanctuary. It's a generational portal. When you enter a space aligned with your soul, you activate more than your own energy, you awaken patterns stored in your ancestry. That lingering grief you've carried, the inexplicable heaviness that doesn't seem to belong to your story, the dreams that feel like memories. These may not be yours alone. In the world of energy healing, we often speak of inherited burdens, energetic imprints passed down through generations, unresolved grief, shame, scarcity, even trauma that silently lives in the body, until someone strong enough and aware enough decides to meet it with love instead of fear. You are that someone. You are not just walking into a home, you're walking into a role. The role of the gatekeeper. The one who holds the threshold between what was and what will be. This is the part of the journey where your presence becomes ancestral medicine. Through you, your bloodline is given a second chance, not just to survive, but to thrive. And it often begins subtly. You might notice an increase in dreams involving family members who've passed. You may begin to see signs, recurring numbers like 999, sudden visits from birds, names whispered in silence, or a pull to places you've never been but somehow feel familiar. These are not random. They're energetic signals. Invitations. Your ancestors may not speak through language, but they communicate through energy, through symbols, through synchronicities that awaken your inner knowing. In astrology, Scorpio rules the 8th house, the house of transformation, death, inheritance, and legacy. That means you were never meant to live a surface life. You were built for depth, for soul alchemy. And when you accept this space as your own, you're not just creating a new home, you're opening a healing chamber. A place where the stories that went unspoken are finally acknowledged. Where the names never honored are remembered. Where the energy that was trapped for lifetimes finds movement, release, and peace. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about becoming the one who chooses differently. Who listens when others ignore. Who forgives when bitterness would be easier. Who plants new seeds, not only for yourself, but for those who will come after. And sometimes, for those who came before. A simple yet powerful ritual can help ground this transformation. Create a space, a glass of water, a pinch of sea salt, a photo, or an object that holds connection to your roots. Sit in silence. Let your breath slow. And speak this aloud: I am ready to heal what my ancestors could not. You don't need to know all the details. Your willingness is the key. Your consciousness is the offering. If this speaks to you, share it. Say it out loud. Comment 999 to affirm your role. And tell me, have you felt that pull lately? Have you had dreams that feel like messages? This isn't coincidence. It's confirmation. You are becoming the bridge. And every step you take into this space, every layer of healing you offer, becomes a blessing sent backwards through time and forward into the lives you're helping to liberate. Scorpio, by now I hope you can feel it, not just the words, but the frequency behind them. What's being revealed to you isn't merely a property, a space, or a stroke of luck. It is something far more sacred, a calling that has always belonged to your soul. This place isn't just being given to you, it's being entrusted to you. It's not about ownership. It's about alignment. And this alignment carries both a blessing and a responsibility, to come home to yourself, and to carry the light forward for those who cannot yet see the path. You don't need to keep running, dear one. The long search, the exhaustion, the questioning, there is a place now, divinely prepared, where all of that can finally rest. This isn't about proving your worth. You've already proven it in the quiet ways, the nights you endured, the loyalty you gave, the wounds you healed without recognition. This is your moment of return. Not just to a location, but to a deeper knowing of who you are and what has always been waiting for you. And still, you have the power of choice. This sacred ground is not forced upon you, it is offered to you. You have the right to say yes. You have the authority to define what prosperity looks like in your life. You have the freedom to choose peace, even if chaos has been your normal. You have the right to step into this space and say, "This is mine," not because I demanded it, but because I became the version of myself who could receive it. So let me ask you, what would change in your life if you truly believed you were supported? What would you build? Who would you forgive? What dreams would you finally allow to breathe? These aren't just rhetorical questions. They're invitations. Because this isn't just about transformation, it's about activation. And now, if you feel something stirring inside, if your spirit recognizes even a fragment of what was shared today, I invite you to affirm it. Leave a comment below and declare, "I am ready to step into the sacred space meant for me." Or type 777 to affirm that your soul is aligned and your path is open. If this video has moved something in you, I encourage you to take action gently but with intention. Like this video. Subscribe to Miracle of the Sign, where each message is crafted to remind you that you're not alone. Share it with someone you know is silently searching for their own place of belonging. Because every small action you take today sends a powerful signal to the universe: I'm ready. I trust. I'm walking toward what's been waiting for me. And from my heart to yours, thank you. Thank you for showing up, for watching, for allowing this message to land where it needed to. Your presence here is not by accident. It is divine alignment. Your light is real. Your journey matters. And your new beginning is already unfolding. Keep listening. Keep believing. Keep walking forward with grace, with courage, and with the knowing that something beautiful is on its way.